Hey everyone. I was just saying there's someone here who we listened to like 2 of my talks before. I was like, how did you survive 2 of it? Okay, fine. I'm Itai. Nice to meet everyone. Itai, co-founder of Dynamic. Who knows what Dynamic does, by the way? Raise your hands. Okay, great. This is a great pitch opportunity for phenomenal. No, we'll do the following. So the goal of this conversation is to really talk about kind of moving embedded wallets from siloed wallets to kind of global wallets. And the way we're going to talk about it is first we're going to just explain the context of why I'm here. So Dynamic in 60 seconds. Also, and sorry about repeating the joke, as a founder, I wouldn't be doing my job if I don't pitch Dynamic for at least 60 seconds. But then we'll talk about what we're seeing in the market. We're essentially seeing kind of this crypto-enabled stack. We'll talk about what we're seeing, and we'll talk about 2 challenges that we're seeing specifically. The user onboarding challenge, but then we'll deep dive into a second challenge this time around, which is the interoperability challenge, right? So how does one move from email and social login and kind of logging into a website and creating an embedded wallet, and how does that wallet go with you across sites, right? So first, very quick, Dynamic in 60 seconds. At the very basic level, it's everything that happens after you click login on a website. So we do third-party wallet login, embedded wallet login, kind of email social auth, generating wallets for you, user management. If you want to check it out, you can go open your app on token proof that you use to get in. That uses Dynamic. Scan your badge without IYK. That uses Dynamic. Go to Maple or Alongside or Doodles, new Doodles Studio. All kind of use different versions of Dynamic. So you can see that today, if you participated in Starkware's airdrop last week and claimed tokens, that used Dynamic as well. So those are kind of all kind of different experiences you can use with the product. Why are we here? What are we seeing? So we're essentially seeing that the web is moving to a wallet-based world, right? Everything is starting to kind of generate wallets for folks in the background. Whether they know it or they don't, we kind of think that within the next 5 years, every app on your phone, every website that you visit will have some sort of crypto component to it. And the very basic level, to get to that, you need some sort of wallet stack, right? And we're specifically seeing a really good amount of use cases daily that kind of show that on a day-to-day basis. So we're seeing things around real-world asset access. So how do you, from Argentina, access treasuries in the US, right? And the easiest way to do that is to tokenize those, put those on chain, but let you log in with email or social, right? Or how do I build a decentralized version of Venmo that works across Turkey and Ukraine and the Baltics, right? And the easiest way to do that is to spin up wallets for everyone and use stable coins to transfer those. Now, in both of those use cases, you actually don't need to know it's crypto, right? You just need to be able to transfer money from Turkey to the Baltics, or you just need to be able to buy treasuries, US treasuries from Argentina, right? So we're seeing a lot of that kind of use cases, a lot of the use cases that leverage crypto without ever showing it. It's pretty much a new type of company that we're seeing every day. And really what we're seeing is this really interesting crypto-enabled stack. So a set of tools that all the companies I mentioned use to actually achieve that. And that kind of combines a couple things. It combines authentication, embedded wallets, which we're going to double click into, account abstraction, on-ramps, off-ramps, some sort of L2, and then swaps and bridging, right? And with this stack, whether it's through a bunch of providers, whether it's through one provider, you can actually start creating that experience, whether it's, again, buying an e-liquid asset and tokenizing that and putting that on chain, or sending money to friends or anything in between, or building a social app, right? And within this stack, there are actually 2 challenges. We'll touch on the first one briefly this time around, and we'll actually touch on the second one in much more detail, because that's the topic of the talk, and otherwise it would be boring for everyone. But at the very basic level, these companies face 2 challenges. The first one is, how do I onboard my users? Right? Someone shows up at my door. I want to give them a tokenized asset, like energy bills, or again, tokenized bills, or I want to kind of let them send money to friends. How do I do that? And the solve for that is essentially kind of new user onboarding, right? So email, social login, things like gasless transactions, session keys, and then kind of policy engines within session keys for when things get approved automatically and when they don't, right? So that is the first set of challenges that we're seeing. The onboarding, a new user shows up at your app, how do you onboard them as a user? That's challenge number one. But then the second challenge that we're seeing, and that's where we're going to deep dive, is the interoperability challenge, right? I have a user, they have a wallet. Does that wallet, hi by the way, does that wallet need to interact with other apps, right? For a subset of users, the answer is no, right? If I am a trader in Ohio and I want access to tokenized land, or I am, someone in wherever that I want to buy tokenized Pokemon cards, for me, the answer is as long as I have access to that site and I can easily log in and I can buy the thing, I'm done. But there's a second group of types of apps where it's about taking what you created on app 1 and starting to share that across app 2 and app 3 and app 4, right? That's the interoperability experience, right? How do you take something that started as a siloed embedded wallet, right? Siloed keys that were created on site A and expand that to site B and site C and site D, etc. And that's gonna be the focus of this kind of conversation. We'll actually, we made it 6 minutes and we can finally dive into the topic. So what I'll do next is I'll go through one more level of detail, and then we'll talk about some strategies that we're seeing on embedded wallets, and specifically how you can take kind of that siloed wallet, siloed keys that you created on app A, whether it's MPC or trusted execution environments or anything of that sort, and take it to app B and C and D, right? So at the very basic level, this is not a solved problem, right? This has not been solved. There are multiple ways to approach this, right? One question is will global wallets be branded, right? And we'll touch on an example that actually launched 24 hours ago, and we'll analyze that towards the end. But what would the UX look like? Is it a pop-up? Is it something else? What % of customers actually care about this stuff? And will folks have multiple wallets, multiple global wallets? Just like I have multiple MetaMask wallets, or I have a MetaMask and a Coinbase wallet, will I potentially have multiple kind of global embedded wallets? So there are several approaches. We'll go through them. It's a list of 8. Some, I will warn you in advance, are not very interesting. Some are exciting to the extent that you can say interoperability is exciting, but we'll go through all of them. Okay, so the first is a very simple option. I log into a website, I log in with my email and password, and after I log in, I generate a wallet. I can take the private key of that wallet, whether it's a TE-based kind of system, or whether it's MPC and you have some sort of ceremony to send the shares and kind of generate the private key. You take the private key and you import it into a MetaMask, and you're done. At that point, you can access the wallet through that first interface, or access the wallet through the second interface, which is MetaMask or Coinbase wallet or anything of that sort. It's a very simple approach. It can work today, and it's semi-elegant. The only problem is users have to touch a private key, which is a terrible idea for like 17 reasons. But that is an approach that exists in the market. Second approach is the following. It's an approach that we're seeing with some providers in the market today, which is give your embedded wallet WalletConnect capabilities, right? So let your embedded wallet connect to any third-party website very quickly, and they act just like their WalletConnect wallet, right? There's several providers in the market that do this, and it's again, pretty elegant approach, but now you have to educate someone about what WalletConnect is, how QR codes work, that type of stuff. Has some challenges, right? That's approach number 2. Approach number 3, again, that's an approach we see on a day-to-day basis, asset migration. You're done with service A, you just transfer stuff into your MetaMask or your Coinbase wallet. Okay, as an approach, I would rate that out of a scale of 7, let's rate that like a 3.5. Is that like a 4? I don't know, like 3.5, 4. The problem is you're kind of, in the first approach, in slide 1, we showed that you can replicate the key, right? You can use it on website A, and you can use it in MetaMask. Here, you're essentially depleting assets from your embedded wallet and moving it to a global wallet. But that's an approach that exists. Again, these are all kind of a spectrum of approaches. We'll get to the more interesting stuff in a second. This approach is essentially an approach that I think is slightly similar to what Coinbase took yesterday with their global wallets, right? Which is you generate an embedded wallet, but that embedded wallet is inherently a branded account within a bigger kind of Coinbase ecosystem or MetaMask ecosystem with a Snap or something of that sort, right? So that is an interesting approach, which is you say, okay, I will go to a website, I will recognize the MetaMask Snaps logo or the Coinbase logo. That is in my mind the global branded wallet. I will still potentially log in with an email or social, but then when I open my Coinbase app or MetaMask app, that will exist as well, right? And we'll touch upon that in a second, which is I think slightly similar to the Coinbase approach from at this point 2 days ago or a day ago, which is a really interesting approach. Now we're starting to get to like the more interesting approaches, which is combining kind of EOAs and account abstraction. And with those approaches, what you really do is, as an example, is you generate an embedded wallet, a siloed embedded wallet, and you use the EOA part, dynamics part, just as a signer to an account abstraction layer, right? So there's an EOA layer, there's a zero dev or a Biconomy or a safe or an alchemy at the account abstraction, and the assets get held at the account abstraction layer. What does that give us? That lets us add a second signer as a controller to that same account. So inherently, I can add MetaMask or Coinbase as a second signer to my same account and then control that not using the embedded wallet signer, but rather using a MetaMask signer. That approach has some challenges, which is now you have to develop an interface where folks can see kind of the kind of wallets they have attached to their master EOA, to their global kind of branded wallet that they have in their pocket. It's a non-trivial problem, but that is another approach that is super interesting, which is actually handle this not at the EOA level, but handle it at the account abstraction level and play around with signers. Right? That's like another really cool approach. This one I'm actually really passionate about. I call this the Farcaster approach. Who, by the way, here is using Farcaster? Holy shit. Okay, please follow me. Just Itai at Farcaster. This conversation will be worth it if everyone follows me. But Farcaster, as we see from the kind of the number of hands raised, is becoming our at least our Web3 identity hub. And if it's our Web3 identity hub, potentially it can be used to essentially connect all the embedded wallets and have them kind of associate with that Farcaster or Lens profile. Farcaster today, as an example, lets you connect your Solana wallet and multiple EVM wallets to that same account and let you verify your credentials and kind of own them all within your Farcaster account. And then when you connect through a frame, you can report on all those credentials, right? In the same way, there's no real reason why you shouldn't be able to connect your embedded wallets to your Farcaster account and report on those and create that Farcaster hub as your identity hub in crypto at least. It's an interesting approach. Again, we're talking about small numbers here. It's not kind of a, we all know and love Farcaster. It's still a small community, right? But ideally, you use your existing identity hubs as where you store this information and how you organize your wallets rather than trying to come up with a new embedded wallet global solution, right? So that's another interesting approach. I'm pretty bullish on this one, and we see it in action with, I think Farcaster reported 12,000 Solana wallets connected within 24 hours of launching it, right? So it's this really interesting approach. Now we're getting to kind of one more approach. How am I doing it on time? Okay, great. I have 6 minutes. So one more approach that I think is uniquely interesting, which is the AA across the board approach, which is technically what you can do is, again, use an EOA embedded wallet like Dynamic, add an AA layer, and then attach and detach that AA layer to a global account abstraction wallet using some sort of signing process. So essentially create child accounts within your global account abstraction wallet that associate with the account you created on a website. And then you can play around with the kind of sessions or roles or permissions that that sub-account gets, that child account gets, in a really interesting way. And so we see, this is still, I would call that, this is far from fruition. I don't think there's still enough account abstraction wallets with traction. Potentially one day a MetaMask will add that layer, wink wink. But the idea would be that you can start, if you have account abstraction everywhere, you can start creating more detailed links, right? The flow, by the way, can be, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the flow can be some sort of connection flow where you use some sort of QR code to connect to that smart account wallet, the global wallet, and kind of link them together or attach them together through a transaction. Now, what I want to focus on next is actually an example from the last 24 hours that I thought was super interesting. We're big Coinbase fans, and they launched something super interesting with their smart wallet, and that's a take on smart wallets and account abstraction and global wallets, right? So what they did, right, is you click a button, and that prompts you, that pops up kind of a domain, a Coinbase domain, where you can kind of create a new wallet. It's branded, so you see the Coinbase logo, and it's hidden here a little bit, but you see the Coinbase logo as soon as you load it up. You create your account, and then every time you want to sign a transaction, it prompts kind of an iframe, signs, and then closes the iframe, right? And that is an interesting approach. It's very similar to our approach number 4 that we talked about, which is this approach of signing happens in a trusted environment on some sort of iframe, but in a very branded way, right? So it's not like an email login. It is your Coinbase wallet, right? So that is one example just from the last 24 hours of a very unique take and a very interesting and innovative take on how to think about global wallets, right? So that is one really cool thing. Now, there are many, 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 many unanswered questions, right, about this stuff, right? The first one is, how do you recognize a global wallet, right? So if I were to go to Amazon and log in with my email and buy something, and then go to Target and log in with the same email and buy something, and see my Amazon purchases, that will be really weird, right? It's not necessarily an engineering problem as much as a user experience problem, right? And it's an education problem. It's a problem of, when should I expect a wallet to be global? Should I even know a wallet exists on the first app, right? And do I need to educate someone that they have a wallet on the first app in order to tell them they might have the same wallet on the second app? So that is a really interesting challenge. There should be a second thing, which is, you see this in Plaid land. If someone has used Plaid before to connect their wallet, to connect their bank accounts, Plaid has a portal that shows you all the websites you connected to across their system. But for that, you need to recognize the Plaid brand, right? And so there's a second question is there a portal where you manage all your wallets when you start moving from silo to embedded wallets? And then the last question that I think is I don't touch on it enough here, but there's a really critical question, which is security, right? If there's a global wallet, then inherently you have to think about, how does the rogue app of a random developer doesn't impact my app, right? And so trusted environments popping up iframes, very similar to a login with Google where it's done in their own kind of system, are pretty critical here, right? They start kind of playing this really big role in order to deploy a global wallet in a trusted way, right? And that is pretty much it. Now, I think all decks need to end with kind of an inspirational summary, which is, we can make Web3 better. But at a very basic level, honestly, things are moving forward. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of innovation, literally, again, from the last 24 hours with Coinbase around this topic, right? There are a lot of really interesting snaps out there that are trying to do kind of this at the global wallet, right? Where you can use MPC in order to abstract away how you create accounts with MetaMask, right? There are obviously providers like Dynamic that are thinking about this from the embedded wallet first side, right? So there's a lot of really cool innovation here, and it's interesting that I still, honestly, to this day, am not sure which of the 7 or 8, or maybe there's a 9th approach, which will win. And with that, I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you. I will again end as a shameless plug. If you want to check out Dynamic, go to dynamic.xyz. Follow us on Twitter. There's no URL, but dynamic.xyz. I should have added a URL. Please, everyone, assume that it's there. And if you want to ask questions, I'll be around. Thank you guys for listening.